Keys to the Commonwealth, a podcast where we share the real stories of local community members who are using real estate to build personal wealth, along with tips and tricks from professionals across the industry. And now, your host, Landry Fields.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Keys to the Commonwealth podcast. As an insurance advisor, I work with real estate investors and professionals every day, and I'm very excited for today's guest. He is a partner and real estate agent with the Brokerage. He has been a realtor for 9 years, but says his biggest accomplishment is surviving fatherhood thus far. Born and raised in Carterville, Illinois, he received his degree from the University of Kentucky. He is married to his beautiful bride, Rachel, and together have 3 awesome kids, June, Theo, and Jack, as well as their cat, Cosmo. To borrow this man's favorite word, it is an absolute treat to welcome Ryan Hilliard today to the Keys to the Commonwealth studio. Ryan, my man, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, Landry, what a treat
to
be with you, my man. I appreciate you having me. You've had some heavy hitters on here prior to me, so I am honored to be with you, my friend.
Well, I appreciate it. Absolutely. Anything for you? And then we usually start the show out just kind of saying, hey, hop back in the DeLorean time machine. Talk to me about how you got into the real estate business to begin with.
Man,
to preface this, I've known you since before you were in the real estate business because we go back a ways.
Bro, I mean, we go back. We do go back a ways.
Yeah.
Have you talked on the Keys to the Commonwealth about you DJing and you did? We won't go there. But you got skills. Like you're not just the insurance maestro. You've got skills, brother, in many arenas.
I've done a lot of things. It's true. So,
well, man, and. For me, real estate, 2013 was when I got started. Actually, my former realtor was the one that was like, hey, the one that represented me when Rachel and I bought our first house was like, dude, I think you might be kind of good at this thing. And which was very unique because in our space, that is somewhat a way of her inviting competition into the marketplace in a way.
Yeah.
What
year was this? Roughly?
We bought our first house in 2012.
Okay.
And,
I wanted to say
the beginning of 2013. And then the process was the thing that piqued me, the interest, and then I got licensed at the end of 2013.
Okay. Because I remember I think we met probably around 2011, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No one says 2011. 2011, sorry.
Hey.
But, okay.
That seems like
2013, I remember that kind of process and transition.
Yep. So, her and I met with several other folks in town that I trusted on the real estate side of things. I was in a fun career where I was in sales at LEX 18, where I was kind of half in the office, half out of the office, and that was kind of what spurred my interest in kind of I guess you'd call it like relationship selling. They did some really cool things over at that TV station, and it was honestly a wonderful place to work and learn and grow. And I'd been there for the 2.5 years prior. But buying that first house, man, I really enjoyed the process. Back then, it was a buyer's market, so it was vastly different.
Right.
That was nice, and so that was. I have been very fortunate and blessed that when we bought our first house, it was a buyer's market, and then when we turned around to sell it, the seller's mayhem that we have been in now for seems like close to 5 years was just getting started.
Has it been 5 years already now?
Probably probably since we started. We sold our first place 5 years ago. Actually, it was 6 years ago.
Okay.
And then
I don't think it's slowing down anytime either.
No, man. And so since then, then we've resold that next house, and we're in our third place. And knock on wood, or Lord willing, this will be. I ain't moving again. So.
Yeah.
How it goes with kids.
What was that like? What was that like as far as, transitioning to building your own business? Obviously, like kind of similar to me, came from probably more of a steady income or checks in some respect, and to know, hey, I've got to take some steps backwards here in order to kind of take the reins and control of my own income, life, direction, flexibility, so forth. What were some of the hardest parts that you didn't foresee, or some of the things you learned in that?
Well, one of the first things was I had a very supportive, great wife that at the time we had no kids. And so, we've got 3 now, as you mentioned in the intro, which was so eloquently said. Thank you. At the time we had no kids. My wife knew that I was looking to transition into doing something different, something that I could call my own, and something that I could kind of put my name to, because It's such a, as you've mentioned on other podcasts of yours, it's such a relationship business.
Yeah.
And that was something that really, really attracted me. And I knew that I had been asked by a few other friends, like, hey, man, who'd you guys use, as your realtor, real estate agent, real estate advisor, any of the names that you can call it. And I thought, man, somebody in our group needs to step in the gap. And I was like, well, that's gonna be me. So anyway, so we decided it was nice. Everyone back in the day said that millennials would be like lifetime renters.
Yeah.
We would be renters. We would be, mounds of student loan debt and everything. And they couldn't have been more wrong, man. The millennials have busted into the marketplace. But back to your question, the hardest part about starting, obviously, when you enter into real estate, specifically as a, whether you're a mortgage lender or real estate advisor, sometimes, probably insurance, whatever you're doing on the sales side of thing like this, we are commission only. And so we only get paid at a closing. And so, even if you get a buyer miraculously, a home buyer on day one, and you sell them a house on day one, it's still going to probably be 30 or 45 days before you get paid. So we had a plan. Rachel and I did. We had 6 months of savings saved up, which was great. Thankfully, I burned through about 5 months of those before we had our first paycheck. Okay. And then I thought, well,
bucket's getting empty. You get a little nervous. Like, did we make a wrong decision here? I'm sure.
Yeah. What did we do?
Yeah.
So, and I had those, months 3 and 4 when things were still looking pretty lean. But yeah, it was a lot of just planting seeds that first 2 years.
I tell my wife Joanna all the time, I'm like, taking the leap of faith, starting your own business or investing in real estate, whatever it is. Not having the support. I tell her all the time, I'm like, I couldn't do it without you. Not in the sense of like anything financial aspect or something like that, but like trying to do a lone wolf and not having some kind of support system. I can't imagine doing that, or how much harder that must be, for sure.
Yeah, man, we've got some good ladies beside us.
Amen to that. So what are some of the best things you've learned as far as real estate, especially using it to build wealth, or as far as your career and wealth building both at the same time?
Yeah, the nice part was, as I mentioned, starting in when we bought, real estate can really snowball into, I won't call it significant wealth, but our parents used real estate more as like a utility. Like, it was a place where it was their home, and it was a utility, and it was for their uses, and it gave them the schools they could go to, and it gave their kids a solid place to stay. Whereas our generation looks more at, we're more of like the HGTV generation that's looking at more of like resale value. We're looking at, could I live in this for a few years, and then could I potentially make some money, pick it up, and snowball it into the next one? Yeah. And
more as an asset then.
Exactly, more as an asset. And so, the nice part about real estate is from the time we've gotten started, that we've transitioned through probably a buyer's market coming out of the recession in probably 2010 to 2015, and then it's snowballed into a seller's market that has probably been around now for close to 4 to 5 years. And, real estate really can help build wealth. Real estate's unique in that it's not always going to be liquid. Like, you can't, go to the bank and get the money out. But the equity that you build over a lifetime, I would, we're working with some people right now as young as like 23 and 24. And I'm thinking, hey, I wish that would have been me. I wish I would have bought my first place at 23, 24. They're looking ahead, even in a competitive market like this, just to start building wealth. it's like a forced savings account, owning your own home. So it's a great investment.
100%, yeah. And I'm sure in Lexington, I think it's going to stay hot for sure. Man, I don't see it cooling down for sure. And it's such a beautiful place. I've appreciated Lexington more and more in this area that I've lived and so forth. So,
Lex Angeles, great place to be, baby.
I've never heard that. Lex Angeles. So, somebody wanting to get investing or starting out investing, or maybe they've been an investor for a little bit, and they kind of thought about the whole aspect of like, wouldn't it be easier if I just got my own real estate license, if it's become to that level type of a thing, talk to me about that process, becoming a realtor, even if it's only really to be used for your own investing purposes or so forth, as well as, just the ins and outs as far as that goes, licensing as far as that. And then I know you have to be under a broker of some sort and different things like that. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when you're getting started, if you want to be licensed, you do have to take a licensing class through the state of Kentucky, and you have to physically have 96 course hours, and then you have to pass both a legal and a real estate exam. And to be honest with you, you're going to use some of the stuff you learned in there, but probably I'd say it's 20-25%. The terminology is very important because you're kind of entering into something that you may think you know a lot about, but you really don't. In terms of once you're licensed, once you pass those exams and you've taken those 96 course hours, you can choose to join an association, which in Lexington that's LBAR, so LBAR, which is soon to change its name by the time of the release here. We might even have a new name.
I don't think I knew about this.
Oh, a little secret association change. Change. But actually,
they're going to be changing their name of some sort.
Yeah, they're trying to go through a whole rebranding thing. So, they're getting ready to roll that out. But yeah, you've got to affiliate with a local association. There's several around here. You've got LBAR, but then you can go to you can head south of here, west of here, and you're in another association.
As long as it's one in the state.
That's right. Yeah,
you took your licensing from.
That's right, baby. That's right. And then, as you mentioned, you do need to put your license, place it under a principal broker. Who there has to be one at every brokerage house in Kentucky. And, for the brokerage where I'm at, we do go through an interviewing process. Some places maybe say, hey, we want all the new licensees and bring them on. But I'd be real cautious just about who you're going with. And I'd really, if I was going back into it again, I'd really take the time to do my diligence and research on who you're joining. Yeah. I will tell you, I joined a phenomenal spot when I started, and that really set the tone.
Who'd you start with again?
For my career. So at the time, it was Prudential DeMoulin Real Estate.
Okay.
And they quickly, I knew when I started, they were transitioning into be Berkshire Hathaway DeMoulin Properties.
Okay.
And that was great. I mean, awesome group. A lot of veterans in the field that I could kind of almost just poke my head in, ask questions, listen to. And then I had several guys there, namely one guy named Chip Deal, who was just phenomenal, who literally was like a one-on-one mentor to me, and really, took my hand and said, I mean, it was fun, man. I remember one time he told me, he's like, man, I've been with a lot of people like doing this, and I knew that you might have something here getting into this field. So he's a great guy, honestly, a father figure to me in real estate. And so yeah, if you're starting out, I would really, I mean, and again, it's got to be for your purposes. So if you're getting into it just to have your license and put it under a broker to invest, then that might look different. You may be looking at the fee structure and say, hey, I may just say, I'm there because I already know I'm going to be buying property, but I want to do it with the license and backing that I have and extra support. Or you may say, hey, I'm looking to sell 50 homes a year to, relationships that I have. And if you're looking to do that, you may be looking at more of a long-term stand, and fees aren't as important, but, doing the job to the best and highest standard is what you want to do. Then you might want to look at somebody a little bit more tip-top. Yeah. You're not looking at the fees so much.
Because your why is obviously super important because, in essence, we're our own bosses, but that doesn't mean we don't. I mean, I tell everybody a lot of times, I work harder than I've ever worked in my life, but at the same time, I have more flexibility and more enjoyment about what I'm doing, especially since it's like, with insurance, real estate, it's a lot about relationships at the end of the day. So,
well, and I mean, you probably know this, but like the blessing and the curse of doing your own thing is, and your brain, it never turns off. Like you're always thinking about it. But brother, I'm laying on the pillow at 10:15 at night, and I'm thinking about some real estate thing I forgot to do that day, or something I need to follow up on tomorrow.
Yeah,
and I'm like, son of a biscuit.
That the work-life balance is so key, and it's so hard, I think, to kind of. I think if I'm being real wise, it's making sure that I'm trying to be conscious of that before it catches up with me. Because I think too often it catches up with somebody, and before long it's ruined. Either their marriage or just life, or they've just gotten themselves into a place without that balance of being able to kind of try to turn it off, or try to at least work towards turning it off. It really never shuts off completely. As my wife will attest to. I'm still thinking, where's your mind at? I'm like, I'm thinking of some new idea, like starting a podcast or something like that. So
that's right, man.
So Ryan, talk to me about as far as your personal investing. I know you've got a couple of real estate investing opportunities that you've kind of dived into, personal property investment properties. Talk to me about that. What do you have right now?
Yeah, man. So, Rachel and I do have one investment property that we rent just in a traditional sense. It's a single, long-term, single family home. Nice place over in Castlewood that was a really growing neighborhood that we had identified a few years ago that we thought, hey, we saw in 2017 or so, Castlewood over just north of Loudon started to take off. And so we grabbed one in there. It was a good opportunity I bought from some guys that I knew that were renovating it. And I said, what if you kind of renovate it to my liking and maybe put, these guys did everything right. Shout out to Jason and Terry Ruger. But they did everything right. And so, they did the big ticket stuff too, roof, HVAC, all that stuff. So that was the first one we grabbed. It's been great. We've had the same tenant in there since the end of 2018. And he's been great. Actually refinishes hardwood floors. He's a handy guy. So honestly, he doesn't call me too much, and which I welcome. I'm always saying, brother, you call me anytime anything's going on because I want to do it right. Yeah. And then secondly, I'm involved in a partnership group that buys property. With a few guys that I'm close friends with, and also partners with at the brokerage, and we have 6 currently in that group as well. And
six properties.
6 properties in our.
So it's a traditional single-family, long-term.
That's right. Yeah, we've identified single-family as part of our strategy for that group, and then me personally as well. I just feel like there's a higher likelihood you're probably not going to get the highest return potentially, but there's a higher likelihood that you're going to get a longer-term tenant. Also, you're going to get the potential of having steady folks that want to be there a long time. Some people, I'm just gonna be honest with you, they're and some people tell you, I was not meant to be a homeowner. I don't want to do these maintenance things. I don't want to do that, And so there are people out there like that just they want to rent, but they want to rent a home. They want to raise a family somewhere, and so we've enjoyed it. But single family homes has been our strategy, and it's been really nice so far.
Because even if you don't become a real estate, quote unquote, professional or semi-professional, as the tax code talks about, it's just good diversification a lot of times. There's so many people, clients I have, where they'll have, 1, maybe 2 investment properties that really they're just kind of using it like an additional 401k savings type of scenario, just to kind of compound on itself and have that flexibility or so forth. Or maybe it was a house for their kids at the point when they were in college or something, who knows? So.
Man, you nailed it. Yeah, when Rachel and I started it, the conversation was, hey, let's grab one of these while the interest rates are still low, so that we can go ahead and use this as like a college savings plans as opposed to a 529. And I'm not a financial advisor. We are. We just like you said, we stay heavily invested in the stock market as well. Sure. So it's like we're not, obviously those rental properties are not going to carry us into retirement.
I thought you put it all in the crypto.
No, I'm actually doing NFTs at the moment.
Okay.
So I'm kidding. I couldn't even tell you what that stands for, but it's out there.
I think this is a conversation for another time, but the NFT side will change everything. I will tell you that, especially PVA, the idea of a property being tied to, that's what it's really going to come down to. Not necessarily the art stuff. It's going to change.
That could be the game changer?
It's going to be a game changer for down the road.
Oh,
down the
baby.
Road.
Well, you heard it here first.
There you go.
Let's go.
How'd you finance that first deal?
So we had a nice relationship with a local bank here that was locally owned and already had a good relationship with, which I'm sure you heard from several folks. But, I always tell people, if you're going to dip your toe in, just, grab that first one and see really see how it goes. Some people have a great
commercial loan, or was it? Okay.
Yeah. So we did a commercial loan. I think in that case we went ahead just because we want a lower payment. We put 25% down. Yeah. And financed it over. It was fixed for a certain amount of time, and then it has a chance to adjust after a certain amount of time. So we've already gone ahead and refinanced it since then. But really good deal. And I would encourage anybody, local banks especially, have an opportunity to where they want to build a relationship with you long term.
Right.
And especially if you go in and tell them, hey, I'm getting ready to start buying some real estate, and this is like the beginning, and we're gonna keep compounding it.
Sure.
They're highly likely to want to take good
Start
care
working
of
with you. Yeah, things like that.
Yeah, and there's some of
Especially
them. Yeah,
a lot of people with equity now in their house. I mean,
yeah, man.
that's what I'm kind of starting to try to do myself. If you got that sitting there, you're like, I need to start putting this to work.
Well, that's right. I mean, like, the growth, the appreciation in Lexington over the last few years, people have, a lot more equity in their home than they did a few years ago. They don't realize it. They don't know how to make it liquid. And so banks will get creative with you to kind of make that a little bit more liquid to go put it to good use, like you're saying. Liquid.
What's one of the craziest things that's happened to you in the real estate business or so far?
Oh,
I'm sure there's a number of stories, I know.
Yeah, I've got a lot of them. I'm going to retell one that I've told to some people, but it was a good one. I was with a group, friends of ours who were also clients, and we're showing a house in a real attractive neighborhood. And it was kind of one of those where I was able to get him in before the house was coming to the market. And the gentleman had told me, hey, I'll be cleared out of the house, I'll be gone, and we will, you can come at this time. And so took my folks there, my clients and friends, got in the house, the door was open just like you said, went in the side door, good to go. We're there for probably 10 or 15 minutes, like we're looking around the house, and then all of a sudden in the back room we hear an alarm go off, and like an alarm, like a wake up alarm, like an old traditional clock, like ring ring. And we're like, oh, I just thought, whatever.
Yeah.
And then so we move on to the kitchen. We're standing there. We're talking about a few things. The house needed a little bit of fit up, and so we're talking about things you could do in the kitchen to fit it up. And here comes a gentleman, close to 70 years old, in his whitey tighties, walking in from the back bedroom. So we had
was he just like, I'm just going to act like everything's completely normal in my house, or did he heard you all talking, or just like he was startled as well?
Brother had been asleep. He was taking him a nice little afternoon siesta.
Okay.
And he was cool as a cucumber, or as Stuart Scott would say, cool as the other side of the pillow.
Yeah.
And just came out in the whitey tighties and said, guys, I want to tell you I am sorry, and I'll go ahead and get out of here. And we really enjoyed it.
Let's go look at the backyard for a second here.
We need to give him a minute to go ahead and get himself together. And but it was great. I mean, we ended up we did end up making an offer on it, but we didn't get it. But probably because I saw him in his underpants.
There you go.
What a good guy. Great story. I think of that one a lot. That one's always top of mind. But, man, I've seen some crazy stuff in houses too. You got to remember, like, a lot of these homes you would go in are where people are living and doing their thing. I mean, I've walked in for sure on houses that are actively being rented where I've opened the bedroom door and there is a body underneath the bed sheets, and you think, oh boy, we'd given them plenty of notice, but they are right there in the bed and don't want to start them.
Did you have any questions related to insurance or anything like that for the episode, or things that you deal with a lot?
On those crazy stories, I do want to tell you one of them was unique. That I had a situation probably about 4 years ago where a lady and her husband and their daughter, they were buying a house with me, and the house had been vacant for a little while. The people had moved out of state, and the house had been vacant and had just been getting maintained until they listed it in the spring. And the day after closing, the lady calls me crying, and I'm thinking, hopefully these are tears of joy. But as we sometimes, as sometimes is the case, the joys of homeownership can come at us fast. Yeah. And so in this case, it did. They had a basement, and the sewer line backed up.
Finished basement?
Finished basement. Oh, no. I know, brother. This is a nice house. Okay. This is in Palomar, which is a nice neighborhood in Lexington. And the sewer line backed up the day after closing, and backed up not just a little bit, but like a lot of it. Those systems had not been used for a while. Who knows? But we definitely, our suspicion was that based on a couple other things that were in the house, that like the inspector and myself and a couple others start kind of putting together, like they probably had something happen before. But anyway, long story short, thankfully they had like some great insurance coverage.
Sewer drain backup.
Sewer drain backup, man.
So for those that don't know, the sewer drain backup coverage, like I make sure it's on, honestly, I make sure there's a little bit on every policy. I mean, because one, it can go towards in general, the sewer line or the lines to your septic tank in the yard. So if anything, sometimes that has to get dug up. You know, if it's on your property under the ground, it's your responsibility. It's not the city's and stuff like that. So, but yeah, definitely. I mean, that's where I highly suggest, you know, as a broker, you know, we represent a lot of companies. We're going to make sure that you're adequately covered in that sense, meaning that a person who has a finished basement, that is not covered if it floods from the sewer drain, you know, backing up from the sewer line, it gets clogged, or a sump pump failure kind of scenario. That is not claimed covered without that coverage on there. So automatically, if you have a finished basement, you know, you need a pretty decent, adequate size coverage, because I mean that can rack up quick. The cost on flooring and mitigation of that, not litigation, but with
mitigation.
Yes, thank you, mitigation.
That's a good one.
Of the you know, just the damage, or trying to prevent mold and mildew and stuff like that. So the drywall, everything. Yeah. So I had a poor client of mine that didn't have a ton of coverage. Had a really nice finished basement over here on the edge of Jessamine County here in some of those nicer houses. Oh yeah. Switched to me, and literally the night. So you know, an insurance policy starts at 12:01 a.m. the day of. So, and her basement flooded at about 3 or 4 a.m. Of that day, and so 4 hours, 5 hours earlier, she didn't have enough coverage, because it almost maxed out what we had, and that's why I had a lot larger, and I kind of wanted to go larger, but I said you at least need this minimum amount. So if she literally by 5 hours earlier, it would not have been covered, kind of a scenario. So
and you know, bro, that's a huge story. I mean, there's pain points like that you know, you learn, and then you never forget it. Yeah. And you're like, all right, that's something that you know now you're going to put on everybody's policy. That is a finished basement. And I'm going to always remember, I'm not an insurance advisor, but I tell them, hey, if you get a finished basement, let's not let somebody else.
And that's why I tell you, I'm an insurance advisor. I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to make sure you're adequately covered, so that you don't have financial hardship loss that can come out, you know, in a split second type of scenario. So
for some turds in your basement.
Oh man. Switching gears here a little bit on your personal and professional goals. What are you kind of working on 2022? What you got for me?
Yeah, man. So, I mean, the professional side of things, obviously, you know, always want to, you know, there's a lot I could go into there. But for me, it's simple stuff this year, man. I'm trying to really, I'll start here. I'm really trying to start going to bed by 10 o'clock every night. I mean, you know, Grandpa Hilliard used to always say nothing good happened after midnight, but, you know,
that's my dad was.
during COVID, I think we all got out of our routine a little bit, and I'm trying to, I think it starts with bedtime and then a great morning routine. You know, I get up, cup of coffee, quiet time, hopefully some sort of workout 3 days a week in the morning before everybody else gets up, because you got to get your mind right. You got to, you know, the noise in my house escalates quickly when the 3 kids and my lovely bride get out of bed. So I like having a little time to myself. So really that's the goal, man. Go to bed at 10 p.m. so I can go ahead and get up at like 5:45 and get the day started. And then I think everything else, like the tone is set, especially if I get that quiet time in the morning.
I agree. When you're not selling real estate, what are some of your kind of hobbies or skills Mr. Hilliard likes to do? Yeah,
man. I mean, I am a avid fisherman. It comes from my pops, man. I love fishing, so that's kind of where I can get away and sneak away. Don't get to do it as much, obviously, with the 3 kids under 6 at the moment, but we're going to go. I'm actively in the market for a pontoon boat for Landry to insure. So if anyone hears this and has a pontoon they need to sell, please.
Pontoon boats are hard to find right now in the COVID world. I had clients buying boats left and right.
I'm telling you. I'm hoping those inexperienced boaters don't like storing it over the winter and are about to give me a good deal. Yeah. And then, you know, funny enough, I've gotten back into baseball card collecting to the chagrin of my bride, Rachel. But
I've heard it's been coming back.
It's bad, man.
Because we're both big baseball fans, but I think you're probably a bigger fan than me. I mean, I don't really have baseball cards, which is weird. I was an avid collector as a kid of a lot of things.
Yeah.
But cards was never one of them. I don't know how.
I'm glad you missed it.
But cards was never one of them. I don't know how. It was.
Man, it's all coming full circle. You know, it's like the guys, I guess, in our 30s and 40s that did this as a kid, starting to get their kids into it. But, bro, the cards are way more expensive now.
Golly. So what are you all watching on TV? Anything good right now these days?
Yeah, man. So actually the last 2 nights, I split it over 2 nights, but I watched 14 Peaks, which is, I like to watch these shows where it's like great people doing things that are just kind of ridiculous.
Sure.
And so that one, I'd recommend. It's on Netflix. It's called 14 Peaks. It's this guy named Nims Purja.
Is that where he like tries to climb them all within a certain period of time or something like that?
Yes, and he is Nepalese, and he tries to do every peak of a mountain that is above 8,000 meters in the world in a certain period of time. There's only one other guy ever that had done all 14, and it took him 16 years. This guy does it in like 4 months.
Oh my gosh,
it's insane.
Yeah. I can't even imagine.
No, it's great. And then I'm watching Tom Brady's Man in the Arena, and I'm rewatching Michael Jordan's The Last Dance. Probably one of my
big documentary guy. Then.
Big documentary guy, man.
I saw a trend there.
Oh yeah.
What's your first/favorite concert you attended?
Oh man, the most memorable one. I don't know if it was the first because my parents were kind of hippies, which was awesome. So I went to a lot of concerts growing up. But Red Hot Chili Peppers, Carbondale, Illinois. I specifically remember my friend's mom took us, and I remember Flea was in his undies behind the. I don't remember if Flea played the guitar or the bass, but he was in the whitey tighties. Just that's second whitey tighties reference in this interview, so I'm sorry. But Flea was jamming, man. And actually, that was the folks before them that came on who were just getting their start with the Foo Fighters. So I didn't know I was seeing Red Hot Chili Peppers and the Foo Fighters. It was freaking awesome.
Really.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I listen to everything, though, man. I listen to every kind of music.
What's one of your favorite trips that you all have ever been on? You go see.
Man, I'll tell you, we went to, with some of our close friends back in 2014, we went to Switzerland, Italy, and, man, Switzerland is one of those places that we went to a town called Murren, Murren, where you're literally sleeping up in this, a town that's like up on this huge cliffside, and there's no cars in the town, and you've got to take like one of those crazy cable cars to get there. And Switzerland, you feel like this can't be on Earth. Like this does not look real. You feel like I've either died and gone to heaven, or it's just.
I've always thought it looked like Central Kentucky is very green, compared to mostly the United States in a lot of ways. But I've always seen those pictures. I'm like, that looks like. That's not, exactly like you said, not even real. Like, it makes this screen look. Oh, yeah.
We were driving up, or not driving, couldn't drive in this town, but we were riding up in this cable car, and it was us and our 2 friends, Daniel and Kat, and next to us were these 2 guys that were holding something in their hand, and we were like, what are they holding? They looked like brothers, and they were holding, they were base jumping. They were going up to the town to just jump off, and I was like, and then you look out, and there's parachutes everywhere in this valley.
Wait, what was in their hand?
They had their parachute.
Oh, okay.
So they go up, jump off the side of this rock wall that's like 600 feet tall, and I'm like, this is awesome. Where are we?
It's one of those moments where you're like, if I could just like pause here for longer than I actually have here, as far as one of those vacations I was recently on one like that. You're just like, I wish I could just stay in this moment for like longer, or kind of relive that moment if I could.
Absolutely, man.
Things. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, what's one of your all's favorite date nights, places in town?
Well, we are big.
Or Kentucky in general.
Oh, man. Well, Rach and I we're not foodies, but we like to think we're foodies. But Corto Lima would be our true, like, if we're doing our favorite date night for food, atmosphere, just top-notch, everything. Like, we've never had a bad meal there. We think it's just fantastic. And then, in Lexington, OBC over off Tate's Creek is great. I think, it's kind of the wow factor when you walk in and you see this shining wall of bourbon, and you're just like, oh.
That's what I emulate my basement to look like one day.
See? No. I knew you were going there. But those probably are 2 right now. And at OBC, they got like this steak and crab cake that's phenomenal. And then Rachel loves this, it's like these short rib tacos that. Anyway.
Oh, I think I've had those.
Oh my gosh,
they are great.
Jeez,
some of my favorite tacos have been non-taco places. Honestly,
that's the last place you go for tacos. You're like, I'm here for a bourbon and a steak, and then you get tacos, and you're like, whoa,
whoa. Kentucky, just wrap it up here as far as that goes. I mean, what's your favorite thing about the state? You know, obviously you didn't grow up in the state, so somebody moving to the state, what's something you appreciated about it or you loved about it?
Man, first, Kentucky is such a hidden gem. You know, my buddies in Illinois where I grew up, and we're like, you can be barefoot and marry your cousins. Or what?
Yeah.
And so anything but that, thankfully, that did not happen. I do like to go barefoot, but man, Western Kentucky is a hidden gem. It's got a lot of press lately, sadly, because of the tornadoes and stuff. But Kentucky Lake and Lake Barkley over there, land between the lakes, is amazing. I mean, if you ever get a chance to go that way, it is awesome. Great fishing, obviously, but then land between the lakes, great hiking, mountain biking, all that stuff. And then over here on our side, about 45 minutes from Lexington, Red River Gorge is not such a hidden gem anymore, but I mean, it was
for a long time.
It was. I mean, Lexingtonians like yourself, didn't even know it was there, I think. I mean, you probably went.
Well, I knew. I grew up in Powell County for a little bit.
Staunton.
How do you say
it? Staunton.
If you're from there, you say Stanton.
Stanton.
I overpronounce it and say Stanton. Make sure. No.
Do they have a skyscraper there? Is it like 3 stories tall?
I don't know if there's anything over 2 stories there.
Okay. Just check it.
I think there's like 1, maybe 2 stoplights in the whole place when I was there.
Oh, I love it.
But, that's a great place there as well. So, what's one of your favorite things you got in 2021? Gadgets or
oh man,
bought, or you're like, I have to get this.
I do like I did get a new watch that I really like. Actually, a Garmin, which I think people are like, when they hear you got a Garmin watch, they're like, you're old, bro. Like, you're an old dad. And I'm like, yeah, I am. So get over it. But
did you get that Peloton in 2021?
I did get a little Peloton, which I've joined that fam, which I've really enjoyed.
I'm trying to start a new trend, as I told you, with the row machine.
Oh, I love
everyone's Peloton now. I'm trying to start the row bros.
Let's go. I mean, I do got a week back now that I'm riding a bike. I mean, the glutes are strong.
There you go.
But I'll tell you, man, the real favorite purchase was Disney trip with the family.
There we go.
You don't know how bad we needed that from what we've all come through, with COVID and everything and just lockdowns and all that. Like, we just needed to get out of the city, and it was the kids. I mean, it was just like they came back to life. So
my first trip to Disney was like a 2nd or 3rd wedding anniversary. Every ride broke down. Had a horrible experience. I was like, I'm never doing this again. Then we had kids, and we took the kids there, and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever been to. Like, the moment amazing. We were there the whole day. It was awesome.
So, did you get stuck on the teacups? Like, what happened?
I don't remember. We only got to ride 6 rides the whole day, and everyone was like, yeah, it was a bad
buzzkill.
But the one with the kids was great. So,
redemption.
Anybody wants to reach out to you, questions, real estate, whatever it may be, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, man. I mean, us realtors don't make ourselves too hard to find on the internets, do we? On how to reach out. But phone number, you can obviously call or text is 859-469-1074. And then you can email me anytime at ryan@thebrokerageki.com. ryan@thebrokerageki.com.
As you would say, it's been a treat, sir. So, Ryan, I appreciate your time today and joining us on the show. And thanks for listening. We look forward to having everyone join us on the next week's episode of Keys to the Commonwealth podcast. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
To learn more about this podcast, visit our page at keystothecommonwealth.com. To connect with Landry regarding insuring your investment portfolio, email landry@novainsuranceGroup.com or call 859-687-2004.